Hercules, or like Joe LaDuca does the music for Xena and that Sparta show.
I always thought also for anyone who's coming in, we're still gonna wait for the 5 minutes, but welcome on in. We're going live now. But I always thought the Legend or like the Xena or the Hercules show from the 90s was really good for music, just in general.
I use it all the time. Even outside of a D&D context.
Oh, really?
Okay. Up. Yeah, just pump myself up. Hear the Xena theme song, be like, I can do this.
Nothing wrong with that. It's a great show.
Definitely not.
Man, all those shows from like the mid 90s, all those like adventure shows, you had like Xena, you had Hercules, you had Sinbad. There's a couple other ones. And then they all went to do sci-fi stuff afterwards.
Sinbad! I totally forgot about Sinbad. Oh my god.
Sinbad was a great show. And then what was it? Kevin Sorbo after that went on to do Andromeda. After that, and it was basically just like Hercules in space.
Hey, Emily and Max, thank you. Welcome on in, guys. Welcome on in. We'll give it one more minute, we'll give it one more minute just in case to collect your thoughts. Let people come in.
I have no thoughts.
Then
think harder, Raven.
Yeah, there you go.
Use your. I don't know. Do ravens have big brains?
I don't think so.
I assume not,
because they're shiny
birds.
objects. Like that's it.
Yeah.
I thought they just,
focus on a shiny object, and then you're good.
I thought they just, attack in a group. Isn't that not a thing?
No, I think that's crows. Ravens probably do that too.
Well, ravens and crows are pretty close.
They're both birds of prey. So.
Yeah.
Is it, or are they like different gangs, like of birds, and like you're in my territory, what?
I'm pretty sure they're rivals.
Okay.
Did you know that a group of them is called a murder of crows?
Yes. But a group of ravens, I forget what that's actually called. Something
conspiracy,
else.
I think.
I think it's a conspiracy.
I thought a group of ravens was a fun time. Ha! Got him. Welcome on in, Nick.
Group of ravens.
So, is it too late for me to remove my name from this podcast?
Yeah. So, for a group of ravens is called an unkindness or a conspiracy.
Unkindness. I like that. It sounds very poetic.
Mime Goblin says it is a conspiracy. The sky is bees. Whatever. I'm here. Welcome on, though. A group of ravens is a murder. Oh, here we go. That's what they do to you. Murder.
Murder, yeah.
What's up, Garby? Hello. Welcome on in, guys. Okay, so let us go. We'll switch to. I make sure I get the right one. Got it. We're good. Welcome on in, everybody. And I'm gonna change the music here. Welcome on. Hello. Welcome back, guys. We haven't done a podcast in forever, but for those who don't know, welcome to the podcast Squaaakinatjoemama with your host, Mr. Ravensclaw, on my left, and myself, Joe R. Inferno. Obviously, the name is a combination of the two. We thought about this back when we started streaming. We only got to 8 episodes, but the idea, for those who don't know, is we pick topics that we're interested in, and whoever is most invested in that topic will stream it on the channel. Now, it just so happens we both play D&D, but I brought up as the idea for my topic, so that's why it's on my channel. Well, not again. We're also like the one currently right now. Oh yeah, it is. Very loud. It is very loud.
Yeah, when you turn on the music on the stream, like it's actually very loud.
My bad, guys. My bad.
For immersion, guys. It's for
immersion.
Yes. We're really trying to get into it.
We definitely need that. All the immersion would be fantastic.
Okay. Is that better? Is that better? I'm sorry. Better? Okay, cool. Itchy, hello. So I guess my whole spiel got completely obliterated from that, so I'm just going to take a very paraphrase. We do a podcast, we pick a topic, whoever's most invested in it, we'll stream it on our channel. I pick D&D, so here we are with my guest, Oblique, Magnus, I'm getting subbed right now. Give me a sec. Captain Cheerios and Papazal, thank you for the resub. I know this a hype train as well. Welcome on in, guys. Joe, we missed you yesterday for the. Oh yeah, I know. I had a previous. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. Oh. I'm trying. Also, I will. Are you able to pause the video redeems by any chance, Anton? On your end?
I could do that.
Yeah, to pause all the stuff that's gonna go everywhere. But guys, thank you for the hype train. Thank you for the bits. Thank you for the subs. And as I was saying, my co-host Mr. Ravensquaw, myself Joe Inferno, our guest Oblique, and Mr. Magnus, who you may know as the destroyer of worlds in our Age of Empires runs and games. So he's also
That's correct. I do enjoy pillaging that village.
That's why he has the evil wizard icon as his icon for today. But welcome on in, guys. Welcome on in. So today's topic is obviously D&D, and if any of you are fans of D&D, have played D&D, or have DM'd D&D, I don't. Thank you for the gift sub, Max.
I don't think I could actually stop. Or your channel point redemptions.
Okay, no worries. Oh, but is there like a okay, it's fine. I know there's a way, but it's a really stupid way. Could you continue, Mr. Ravensquaw, explaining a little bit about D&D while I turn those off?
Okay, so y'all watch Stranger Things, right?
Actually, no, I haven't.
What?
I know that I should, but I haven't I haven't gotten around to doing it yet.
Oblique? You watch Stranger
Of
Things?
course I
Okay,
did.
see.
I don't.
So if you watch Stranger Things, you know what's going on. Nope. Oh my god.
Hey,
Okay,
I'm not alone. I'm not alone. There we go.
Well, why don't we get one of our actual like DMs to explain what D&D essentially is?
Sure.
I feel like I don't have the experience to kind of dive into that. You know, explaining a whole entire game that existed for a million years, which I'm gonna go with. So, Magnus, go for it.
Sure. Where do you want me to start in the history from like the 1970s to now?
We don't need a
there's-
novel. We don't need a novel. Give us
Just
the
the
cold
Wikipedia. Read the
What is-
Wikipedia novel.
What is D&D?
So D&D, in essence, the way that I've always looked at it, it's really a playground of the mind. It allows someone to tell a story with a group of friends and kind of like live out an adventure in your own imagination, kind of thing. That is like the pinnacle of how I approach it. When I'm creating like either a character for it or if I'm creating like the world for it, you want it to really be an essence of yourself and your own thoughts and how you want to actually build the world for everything. And I'm sure Oblique, you kind of have like a similar idea of like when you're creating something, it's part of your own imagination, your own sort of like creative space.
Yeah, definitely. So the way I describe it to people who may not have played before, because a lot of folks don't really get like how you actually like what you do at the table. I mean, when I first, well, we could talk about it. When I first told my mom I was playing D&D, she thought it was literally a fight club. She's like, I don't get it. Do you like hit each other? Like, what's going on? So
Different kind of dungeon.
Different kind of dungeon. So basically, it's collaborative storytelling, and the way I describe it to people is, you have a video game, right? Like, you are a player in a video game. You experience a story, you get to interact with things. So one person is basically the game, like creating the NPCs you're going to see, the environments you're going to play through, the monsters, etc., etc. And then every person at the table is a player. But, it goes beyond that because it's very improv, it's dynamic. Like I said, you're inputting things and your players inputting things, and together you're making a really awesome adventure. So it's a good time. It's one of my favorite things to do.
It's very time consuming on the creator side as well.
I mean,
it's a good way to relax.
Collaborative storytelling, yes, or
Wait, you say relax? Because I feel like the last 3 sessions we had were very not relaxing. Like,
maybe
my
for
character
you,
almost died like
for
3
me,
times.
Again, that's not my problem. That's Dave's problem.
You're actively trying to kill us.
Okay, so on that note, and when it comes to D&D, thank you for the bits, guys. Thank you for the bits. I appreciate it. Hey, Bleep. Max, thank you for the blips. Thank you for the bits. The blips. Those are the blips. That's all it is blips. So, as I mentioned, it's a very collaborative storytelling, and that also involves role-playing. So let's talk about the different ways you can play D&D. With the advent of the internet...
The advent of the internet.
Advent of the internet.
Sorry, Jose, I'll kill you. Please don't do that during the podcast. Yeah, I hate you so much right now, Jose. But with the advent of the internet, you can now play D&D online. I mean, I'm sure you could have played over the phone back in the day. I don't know. But at least now you can play online with online resources. Roll20, as some of you know, GBN. Zai's running GBN, which is a D&D tabletop thing on Roll20 as well. D&D Beyond. You can have your character sheets on there. I honestly don't mind it. Like, it's a very, very efficient way to play, especially if you're doing it online and everybody's in different parts of the world. So I do appreciate that. But there's also the standard in-person D&D. You roll those dice. There's no computer algorithm stopping you, and it's your fault if you messed up because the dice was on you. No random generator. It was on you.
Fault?
There's a trick to rolling dice. Like, there really is.
Don't tell me that now. But yeah, so you play in person, and then in that sense, the DM would create the maps, would create the little. Some people go further with the miniatures, like the different setups you can do. Mind Goblin, I don't know if you do that, the full out setup when you do D&D, but I think it's fun. We haven't experienced a full set like that, but we have done it in person a couple times, at least. Myself, Raven, and Magnus, were you part of that?
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah. So I personally think those are fun. Obviously, with with the way the world is, understandably so, people don't do it in person. But I still think that in person's fun, personally. What about you guys? And in chat too. What would you prefer?
In person.
In person, definitely. Because of essentially what happened throughout the world for the last couple of years. I mean, the online scene kind of like really took off and kind of brought everything into like a new sort of like renaissance for the actual game itself. But in person is definitely the ideal way to do it. It's definitely the most expensive way, but
I mean, I love in person because when I DM or even when I'm a PC, I gesture a lot. And do a lot of things that I can't convey, because on a Discord call, we're not going to have all cams and Roll20 open and D&D Beyond open, all that stuff. But I would argue that playing over Discord has kind of made me a better DM in terms of being able to describe actions more or describe like what the NPCs look like or what their body language is like. So that's kind of been a plus. Plus, people don't live locally next to me, so it's the best way to connect.
Yeah, I agree. Over the Discord, especially, I mean, when I run the campaign with these guys, like, we don't use cameras, so everything is just you're a voice in the room. So you have to make that that descriptive sort of effort to explain, like, okay, this is like the area that you're walking into, the water dripping down the walls as you walk through the cave, kind of thing. For one of the fights that I threw these guys into, they had just got out of like a ruin, and it's like you hear the sound of like insect legs just skittering across the roof, kind of thing. You gotta have to like build that suspense.
Right, and plus it's so satisfying. Like if you're using any of the D&D modules or campaigns or anything, to just pop like the picture of the villain in the Discord, be like, and he looks like this.
Yes,
because the art in that is amazing. It's just the collective gasp.
Yes, I did that for a couple of characters, and I believe the first one that I did, that Joe was like, "Damn, she's hot."
We're all just thirsty motherfuckers.
I mean, it's either we're murder hobos or you hit on everything just because you got to see if your persuasion's good enough or charisma. I guess it's charisma stat at that point, but
That's right.
Also, prefers in person. It's fun, but I can't always make it in person, so online does help, especially when wanting to play with people who don't live close. Like IRL, I couldn't play with Joe because he's not in America.
Yes.
And yes, we're a group of degens, but sometimes we're good. But you know, sometimes you gotta get the coin. Listen, everybody needs saving, but they gotta pay. Okay, paying.
Yeah. We're here trying to get the bag. All right, like.
Bro, okay. Is everyone familiar? Because I just said I thought everyone knew what a murder hobo is. Does nobody? Are there people in chat who don't know what murder hobos are in terms of D&D? Let me know, because we'll explain. But like,
We'll explain the entire process of murder hoboing, and I'm actually interested to see how your take on this, Oblique, is, because in the campaign, because I expected these guys to murder hobo, so I gave them an item to help with it.
Sorry.
You expected me to be a murder hobo? How dare you, sir? All right,
Yeah.
Dag is multi-dimensional. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd argue that the definition, and I could be wrong, but I think the definition to me of murder hobo is just the default, like, adventure, where it's like, oh, we're the good guys, and we're gonna kill all the bad things or anything that's not us, so let's do it. And if you have a group like that, it is amazing to twist it on them.
It's great.
In some way or another, like, oh, this goblin camp, they were actually, concocting some kind of special potion to save the town of the plague, and now you just destroyed them all.
Because they're goblins.
They're goblins.
Then what if my character grows a taste for it and then just changes alignment in mid-campaign?
I'd argue that that would kind of be a repercussion, a consequence. Be like, okay, if your character's going to keep continuously taking actions like this, then go ahead, change their alignment.
Carmi, I believe in Divinity. That is the actually only way to progress that game. I have beat that game many, many times on honor mode, and if you do not murder hobo your way through the towns, you do not level it up enough to actually complete it.
Listen, Carmi, that guy who was screwing me in that game of, was it poker or dice? He did not deserve to live. He was going to try and make me do stuff. I'm like, nah. But so for context, in Divinity, we were in some town, and I got forced into a gambling game, and then before I answered, I was playing with Ed and Carmi. Ed's like, whoa, 1 sec. And he ran all the way to where I was. He's like, okay. He's like, I'm ready. I'm like, what do you mean? I answered, and we just got into like the shanking competition between them.
Yeah, what you do with that? You get a card called the Sparkler. You play the card, you automatically win, and then you kill him and take the money again. That's how you murder hobo.
Yeah. So basically, that is what a murder hoboing is, I guess. Yeah. And there's consequences. That's the thing we're gonna get into is like how do our friends who have DM'd, how do you guys deal with situations like that, or do you craft around it? But let's catch up real quick. We're definitely those in Divinity. Wait, don't attack my camps. It was an art school for mimes. I would honestly want to see a D&D version of Power Rangers have multi-class druid fighters and each embody the spirit of different animals. Does that exist? Apparently it exists. I need it.
There is probably some campaign. Like, I know that a buddy of mine, he was working on like a Pokemon, like creating like a Pokemon like campaign within like the 5e rule set. And I was looking at it, like, this is a crap load of work and really good on you for trying this out. And I would love to, like, once it's done, like, yeah, definitely want to try it out. But I imagine someone has designed like a Power Ranger style.
Oh, it's called Heroes of the Grid, apparently. So, oh yeah, they did play it. I did see it on. Might have been Critical Role. They have their own. Anyways, I saw it on Twitch. They were streaming it at some point. That's true. Yeah. Good call. There is a. I don't know what MLP is. Morphin Limited People. I don't know. D&D Group Edition. My Little Pony. Got it. Thank you.
My Little Pony. That makes sense.
I don't know. I thought we were still talking about Power Rangers. All right. Anyways, so we're going to get into the nitty gritty of the side of D&D from the roles of DMs. For those who don't know, DM stands for Dungeon Master. As we mentioned earlier, they craft and create the world for the players, and they create storylines in advance sometimes. but we're gonna talk about like how do you guys come up with when you do custom campaigns? Because I know there are pre-made ones you can run, but and let's go with the custom stuff. Like, how do you decide which way you want to go? Is it a spark of an idea, or is it just like you react to what the players are doing? And let's also talk about when plans don't go the way you expect them, and a whole like like the cake Magnus mentioned to us. There was a whole cake storyline that we missed, because it was one of the things you could pick up from the board. But we're like, we don't want to do cake. Like, who wants to do anything with cake ingredients? Go kill the goblins or whatever on the hill, kind of thing. And he's like, I wrote this whole plot line for the cake, and you guys didn't do it. So let's hear about that, guys.
Well, you know why? It's because you presented us a generic side quest. Go collect items. Like,
It's like
we wanted to kill things.
That's the thing, man. So like every GM, every DM has their own kind of way of like building ideas. For the campaign that I was specifically running you guys in, I wanted to create like a living, breathing world that is not tied to the story. So it allows you guys to explore different avenues. Like, you guys actually touched on like 3 different plot threads and 3 different like story arcs that you're going through. Like, you were dealing with the pirates, you were dealing with like the poison that was going to the town, and then you went off to the ruins to go see what's going on there, and you kind of like tying around things, and the plots all kind of loop into one another as well. So it's really more of like just trying to build a world to explore. That was the main idea that I took behind it. It's like, here's a world that is floating around my brain. I want to put it on paper, and then you guys can kind of walk around it. The first thing that I always start with is who lives in this world. Like, what are the characters? What are the major powers? What are the entities? And then you kind of like drill down from the top. It's like, okay, so I have this kingdom, this kingdom, this kingdom. Each one does this, and this, and you kind of like drill down until you get to where you guys were starting in like the town of Delary with the Adventurers Guild kind of thing.
Oblique, like, how do you craft your worlds?
Yeah, so Magnus, I find it interesting. It sounds like you take more of a sandbox approach, which I have a really hard time with. So for me, like, if I'm making a custom campaign, I like to think of different overarching layers of plot. So like, here's like the one baddie that my, group may encounter, and like, here's the potential steps of how they're going to get there, or discover, what they're doing, or that kind of thing. And then there may be an overarching issue with the world, like, I don't know, some kind of impending disaster, or something like that, where there may be some choices for them to make in terms of what they want to prioritize. I am very much one to not string the whole thing together and be like, okay, then they're going to discover this, and then it's going to turn out this way, because if I wanted to do that, I would just write a book. The most beautiful thing about D&D is that you don't know what the players are going to do, and that is awesome. So I've worked with, like, pre-written campaigns from Wizards of the Coast, like Icewind Dale, and a lot of times in those books for a specific session, they'll be like, okay, if the players decide to do A, take this step. If they decide to do B, take this step. But most of the time, they do, like, X, Y, or Z, and you just have to improv.
Like the book doesn't tell me what to do. Oh no, that's
right.
Like, I've played through a number of the pre-made campaigns. Like, I played through Icewind Dale. I played through the Mines of Fen Gallon. So it's a weird, like, long name. I'm currently doing like a Curse of Strahd campaign as well, and it's very much like you're put into things. Yeah, Curse of Strahd is such a fun campaign.
Yeah, so I think the campaigns can definitely be a good jumping off point, but I wouldn't worry. Like, obviously you do want to study certain important things. Like, you don't want to have a really pertinent person die, like, way in the beginning of the story, because then, it's already all pre-written and you're going to have trouble wrapping that up later. But don't, worry too much about straying a little bit, because ultimately you're there to have fun with your friends. You're there to have a good story that they're going to talk about outside of the table. So yeah, but those little touches, like Magnus mentioned, like, who lives here, what kind of systems do they have, like, who do they worship, or what kind of economy do they have, or even just their personality. Like, for NPCs, I think personality is super important to make them memorable.
Personality is definitely one of the most important things. A lot of the times, for a lot of the characters that these guys have actually met through, a lot of them I actually just built them as other characters that like I wanted to play. It's like, you know what, like Ulthane, like yeah, I want to be that super like hysterical paladin that has this squire that just like he's basically like Zap Brannigan with a sword. So
Wait. So what you're telling me is we're playing in a world where all your D&D characters are NPCs right now? Is that what you're telling me?
some of them are, yeah. Some of them are, yeah.
Oh my
So-
god.
And some of them are like what's his face, his best friend. Yeah.
Yes.
Felix's new best friend.
Oh,
That's easily one of the most fun characters I've ever made.
Oh my god. The
in
demon?
in terms of the fiend. He's such a fun character.
We'll get a quick recap for those who don't know who the character is.
Okay, so the character, he goes by the name of Zazriel. He's basically, I don't want to spoil too much for these guys.
Yeah, no spoilies.
That's why. It's like, you wanted me to explain, but I can't explain it. His character name is Zazriel. He is quite the fancy type, to be honest. He extremely elegant and clearly has less than subtle inclinations to a particular paladin that we've come across.
The paladin had detect detect evil or something, and it just he failed his saving roll, and like the person who hates fiends the most on the team became enamored and like, oh, this is my best friend. And I'm like, oh my god,
best friend now.
This is great. And
then we have shipped them forever.
Yeah.
So
it's great.
There's a fantastic ship. I don't know if you want to put the. I think I put the image on screen there for you. It's in one of the channels.
I can't pull it up
Somewhere.
during the podcast, but in any case, it's some fun shit. Laz, welcome on in. Sin, I also see you coming on in there. Welcome on in. We're just talking about D&D and from the DM's perspective, how they create characters and such. Now, I would also like to ask, because I think we've touched on it, but like when like characters are rolling for something specific as DMs, like how do you decide? Like, I know you have like a set way, like it's supposed to be at least this amount for them to pass this check, or this amount to do whatever they're trying to do to progress the story. But as some of you who've played D&D have known, sometimes you roll low and somehow it still works, and you're like, I don't understand why I passed that, but okay. So my thinking, because I think our other DM Blair said it too, is that sometimes they let you win because they're like, crap, that was way lower than I thought. I thought they would at least get a 10. Like, no, you passed. Yeah, so you do see the footprints leading off into whatever. So my question for anyone in chat who DMs, as well as our DMs here, Oblique and Magnus, when do you decide if you allow it to go without any consequences? Or are you like hard fast and like, no, they messed up. Now they pay the consequences. Let's start Oblique and then Magnus.
Sure. So for me, I think fudging is a really interesting concept because I have used it sometimes, but I've kind of learned over my time being a DM that if I feel like I need to change the outcome of the actual check, then it probably shouldn't really be there. You know, like it shouldn't be something that they could deviate from. So basically, I would want to use a check for things that could have, you know, some kind of relevant but not game-breaking input, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So if I know that they, you know, need to survive something or, you know, need to pass something in order for the next story beat to work, then yeah, we can put it through. But as long as they feel like they have choice, like it's rare for me to tell a player no. So if they ask me like, oh, can I roll to check this? Can I roll to check that? I'm going to tell them, you know, yes. And most of the time it's not too bad. What about you, Magnus? Most of the time. I mean, yeah, we could talk about the failures too, but we've definitely had some ugly moments in games. So
yeah, like similar. I take a very similar approach where if the check, if it's something generic that is going to push the plot forward, then I'll usually have fun with it. Like, for example, when you guys were walking through the Fey forest, and I was asking you to roll perception checks, and you were just like massively failing everything, and like, okay, so the Fey they're gonna play some tricks on them, like they tied Joe's shoes together, and he's walking and he trips over them, kind of thing. And then he threatens to burn the forest down, but he rolls a nat 1, and so the Fey then just like does a raspberry at him, kind of thing. Just for some sort of more of those fun moments. When it comes to more like dangerous checks, I'd say, like if like characters like trying to like jump from like one building to the next kind of building while it's like crumbling down, I'm like, okay, well, how hard would this be to do in real life, kind of thing. That's where it gets a little bit different, where if you roll poorly, I'm not just going to outright just like have the building collapse on you, but it's not going to go very well if you roll kind of low. It's really going to be dependent on how difficult would this be for me to do, or for someone else to do in like a real situation, and can I have fun with it, kind of thing.
So what you guys are saying, both Oblique and Magnus, is that for the most part, fudging only really applies for like role-playing moments, right?
Yes.
For the most part, yeah.
Like in the instance of somebody potentially dying, they die no matter what, at least in most cases. Or at least just like
in theory.
Why you gonna bring up old wounds, man? Fuck. But we're gonna bring up those old wounds. Don't worry. We'll get to that. Don't worry.
We're gonna definitely bring up those old wounds. Yeah, fudging for role playing, because it can lead to, like, if you're trying to get through a door and you're constantly failing it, but that door is the next major plot point. There's really no way to like kind of get around it, kind of thing.
Yeah. And I mean, there's definitely times where I've changed things on the fly too. Like if players are like, "Oh, I bet this guy, is totally thinking this." I'm like, you know what? Now he is.
That's right.
Like whatever is
behind
gonna.
The board, just writing shit
He's
out.
like, yep.
You're like, what'd you say? No.
In that one last session that we had, where I'm like, yeah, the floor is kind of it doesn't look like it's super stable. I mean, there's a nice stairway here, and Chris was just like, let's blow up the floor. I'm like,
Yeah, sorry.
okay.
Usually my characters are yes men, but that situation I did not agree with. There's a full staircase beside us. We did not need to blow up the floor.
Yeah. And then I had to go in, and while you guys are doing all your rolls, I was building the new map to put the rubble on the next map.
God.
Thanks, guys.
Sorry, just
Yeah,
go ahead, Joe.
I was gonna say I was gonna catch him. Sorry, go first, Bleak, and then I'll go.
Okay. So I was just gonna say too, like I take player death pretty seriously. Like I don't want someone to be excluded and not have an awesome time. Like I remember somebody was doing a one shot with me once years ago, and I accidentally sprung a trap, and they were like, "Sorry, you're dead." And we were in the first half hour, so I'm like, "Oh, awesome. Okay,
Whoa.
so now I'm just gonna sit here and watch everybody else play for like 3 hours. Cool." So like, I don't want people to feel that kind of experience. So, and being able to have them be a part of their death too, or like, I don't know, somehow make it like a heroic moment or feel important rather than just like, let's say Magnus's example. Okay, you don't make the jump and you just kind of splat, right? Like that's gonna suck. But if you make it like, oh, like you fell and you're on the sledge, and then, maybe one of the other players can choose to help somehow with a spell, like Tensor's floating disc or, feather fall or throw a rope down and help them up. That's gonna make a better story.
Also, I just want to point out
you always want to get
in our gameplay, I don't think any of us ever chose like the helpful spells like that. It was always been like mass destruction or something that helps us with killing things faster. Just gonna point that out in our D&D so far.
Hey, we're efficient at killing things.
They are very efficient at killing things, surviving stuff.
Again,
Well, I mean,
murder hobo.
Dag is basically a floor tank at this point.
I'm just glass cannon at this point, all right? Like if a gust of wind comes, I die.
Some stuff in chat. Laz just woke up. Good morning, Laz. Sin mentioned having two characters. 8 foot tall, fat tabaxi forge cleric. That's very specific, very interesting. And Laz always wanted to play D&D. Pro has played an. Oh, I've never even heard of that. Arakora. Aarakocra called Birdman. He was a vigilante. Sounds cool. Warforged that wears human skin. Interesting. Mercy Monk. Pro, I kind of imagine you were doing Batman. Cabbage Guy from the Avatar. That's all be funny. Berserk Human. Deus Ex Machina. I'm gonna light the forest on fire. I mean, yeah, I was in that one. Perfection. Looks like peak human specimen. So I'm gonna say it's easy. No, I had the worst. I'm pretty sure I had the worst acrobatics in our team. A team makeup. I could swear I did. Except when I was playing the monk. I was okay as a monk. Very agile as a monk. I made a...
Yeah, the monk's super agile.
Yeah.
Barbarians, they can be. I mean, you do have danger sense and all kinds of stuff. You really shouldn't fail the dex throw if you're a barbarian.
Well, if we're talking about... Okay. If we're talking about characters and we're talking about death venters, let's start first off with like some of our favorite characters that you ever rolled in D&D. I know some of the people in chat have already mentioned, but if you want anyone who hasn't mentioned what your favorite character creation is, let us know. And we can start on our podcast board. I don't know what you want to call it. Our group of people talking on the podcast. Anyways, let's start with Mr. Ravensclaw first. Yes, I got it. Nailed it.
So my all-time favorite character. Okay, one thing that people are gonna learn about me when it comes to playing D&D, I play one class, one race. That's it. I play a cat, and I'm always a rogue.
Nice.
My very first character I ever rolled is it's Tabaxi in D&D, right?
Yeah.
Tabaxi? Okay, cool.
Tabaxi,
yeah. So Tabaxi rogue named Gregory the Loose. That's a GRE-GORY the Loose. It is because no jail can hold him, and he's a big slut. He's my favorite.
That is accurate.
Yeah, I've ran him in 2 campaigns. The first campaign he played, he died at the second final boss, and I was super sad about it. It was a great rogue. And then the second one was in the campaign that Magnus and Joe are also a part of, which we really need to get back to one day. But he's a fantastic character. I like him because he's a big slut, and he is... Actually, I can't say that on stream. He's a great character. I like him a lot. Thumbs up. Next.
Sorry, for myself, I've only created... I guess it doesn't really count as 3 characters. I guess two characters in general. One's in 2 different campaigns. But my first ever jump into D&D was in our other campaign that I'm with Blair, who is our other DM and a friend. And I remember for the longest time, I wanted to make a barbarian. I wanted to name him Koron. Those of the channel know how that name came about. And I'm like, this is gonna be great. Oh my god, excuse me. Actually, I'm gonna go grab a drink. Magus, take over. I'll continue the story when I get back.
Yeah, you sound like you're choking. So go.
You need help? Do you want me to come up from behind and hold you closely while you choke?
Yeah. So as Joe is carrying on, I guess I'll do my story and then we can come back to Joe. So for characters for myself, generally when I'm building a character, I kind of want to pick a theme. So for the Curse of Strahd campaign that I'm currently playing, I'm playing by a character of Guy Beaumont. Very much I took inspiration from the Castlevania series. He's a monster slayer as a ranger, just because it kind of fits thematically. The character that I played with these guys goes by a bard named Rainan. He's mostly there to just be a shit disturber. He's best friends with Gregory too. So,
yeah. The only reason we're best friends is because we're the last surviving members of the original party.
That is true, actually. They are the last surviving members, and so that makes them best friends forever.
Wow!
And,
wow!
Yeah.
Wow! What a story to come back to on that one.
Rest in peace, my dude.
Rest in peace, Koron.
So that goes back to my character, Koron the Barbarian, because I didn't know you picked the class after you created the character. So I just typed in the Barbarian, and afterwards it's the Barbarian. Then when I looked at my character sheet, it was Koron the Barbarian, and type it the Barbarian. I'm like, that's funny. I'm gonna keep it. So yeah, I created him. I wanted to create him for the longest time. I didn't know my character was probably garbage in terms of stat spreads and everything because I didn't know what I was doing. But we played. I did the best I could. I was having fun. We played for a year, almost 2. I think about halfway. About like halfway through the year. Just as we're getting a new person in our D&D campaign, that's when Chris came in, aka Game Cow. Just we decided to split off because somebody wanted to escort the attractive female in the mine out the other way, while they left me and Rainin in the D. Ellie, you quiet, sir.
Oh, don't point at me.
And then all I remember is giant, like, bug things, and then I couldn't fight it with just me and Rainin. And then I remember getting caught by one of them. I know this is going into like stories rather than just character creation, but I had to say it since he mentioned death. And then I remember I picked up gunpowder on the way into the mine. And then I remember I liked the gunpowder, and then the DM kept making me roll, but I was actually hitting those rolls. So it's like movie style. Like, I'm in the claws of the monster. I look back at Rainin. I light the gunpowder, and then I blow myself up. Not into pieces, but like lit on fire. I kill one of the little bugs. I singe the big one, but then I'm like, bleeding out. So I'm rolling to save my life. First roll, fail. And then Owen's characters.
While this is happening, Gregory has had a bad feeling and tried to come back. All right. Let's not forget that.
Pro, have a good one. 16, welcome on in. And Brick, hello. Yes, we are talking about D&D, and that's exciting news that you'll be building one, or putting together one. And yeah, so I ended up blowing myself up, failed the first roll. Thank you for the lurk, Fiasco. And I remember Owen's like, I'm gonna heal myself. And I'm like, I looked at him, or I not looked at him, but like, I was like, what? He's like, you got 2 more rolls, you'll be fine. If I could zoom in on my face, I'd zoom in on my face right now. Okay. Next roll, natural 1. And for those who don't know, when you get a natural 1, it counts as 2 failures. So now I had 3 death failures. And on that note, my DM was just like, you failed. You're dead. And just dead silent in the Discord. I remember in real life, just take off my headset, I put it on the computer. You gotta understand, at our old place, I had an eye shot view to Raven at his computer station, so he's just like, looked back at me like, oh my god.
I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's not good. Joe went like dead quiet.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I rolled a new character who ended up being his adopted elf son, who was a monk. So that was a lot of fun. I got a lot of his stuff, and a lot of it worked out. So, but for fun fact, the monk, martial art monk, or I forget what the character's class was exactly, but his name was technically Fenrir the Barbarian, because Korra's last name was the Barbarian. Anyways, and then the Barbarian the monk, yeah. I did end up re-rolling Koron into Magnus's campaign and like planning it out better. And when he hits like a fucking truck. I literally see what I could have been doing the whole time in the other campaign. But that's my character. Sorry for the long, exaggerated story. I had to tell that story. But,
right.
Rest in peace, Koron.
Rest in peace, Koron. I mean, that's the thing. When we get back to character death, we'll touch on that a little bit later as well. Because character death can
I want to know Bleak's favorite character.
Oh, so for me, one of my favorites, which is like a total knockoff, and you can do this if you want to too, is you see a favorite character you have on TV or something, just make a version of that. So I had Aksinia, who is basically like my edition of Xena Warrior Princess. And it was amazing. Like I was a barbarian, and it made me very bold in my choices in game and like very forceful, which I think in person I try to be more considerate of people and like let other people talk first. Like I wasn't a hog, but I definitely took a lot of initiative, or was like extremely confident and like, okay, like we're just gonna get them, it's gonna be fine, that kind of thing. Otherwise, in terms of like magic users, I like to use wizards and bards. I think bards are a really good introduction for any spell casting that you're interested in D&D, and I like to be small gnomes. I think they're so cute and overlooked. I think they have really interesting backgrounds in terms of like forest versus rock gnomes, so yeah, that's what I like to do. Usually they have some kind of thing they really fucked up in the past that they're trying to fix. That's like my one thing. Like my gnome that I had, he was a wizard who was stationed in the king's library. He was a tutor for the prince. The prince went into a cave one day and found this strange wand, which was a wand of polymorph. Decided to play around with
Ooh.
it because he's like, oh, what is this? And the gnome was just like, I don't really know, but let's explore, and accidentally the prince turned into a frog, which is, a little bit cliche, but he was so embarrassed by not having the knowledge and not being able to know that would happen that he basically self-exiled from the kingdom on this quest to, like, gain as much information as he could on the arcana, the arcane in the world, so that he could come back and not hang his head in shame for harming the prince.
Did the prince ever turn back to normal?
Yes.
Or is this like, no, you're on your own. You're on your own.
Oh, gotta go. Bye. I'll switch you back. I swear. Just keep this frog. This one's the prince. He's got this little spot right up here. So you know. No, that same day, like, I think he was trying to hide the prince, like, hide his mistake, and there was some magic elf, like, way, like, more advanced than my character that just switched him back and kind of chuckled at the whole thing. And my gnome was just like, no more. No more. But he was very delicate. He didn't like to get dirty or anything like that, so he had a really tough time adventuring.
A cat like that, the warlock that was always prestidigitation himself. Anytime he got like his every single time, just like, oh no, I gotta take my turn to clean myself off.
I mean, it's a cantrip, so
it is. It's cantrip.
Use it however many times you want.
That's right.
He rode my character's my barbarian, for context, was like super large and like your stereotypical like back, like Austin Powers Harry. So like he rode on my barbarian's back because he didn't want to get dirty in the swamp that we had to run through. Oh god. In any case, so let us go on. You wanted to talk about character death? We can touch upon that now then.
Sure. I mean, character death, it comes in like two real ways. I mean, yes, it can be super jarring to lose a character in which you put like so much effort into. But this also leads into like a DM skill as a storyteller, because you can just like write them off and be like, oh yeah, you're dead, new character, let's go. Or you can let that moment kind of like sit in the air. And let it kind of like come over and really have this like actual like moment with the player and with the group as well, because the group can then like mourn the kind of character. Like in the Curse of Strahd campaign that I'm currently running, we've had like 4 characters have died. One of them for the same guy in 2 sessions. He had 2 characters die in back-to-back sessions. Like we met the character. It died like 40 minutes later. Just
wow.
At
that point, I wouldn't bother learning the third character's name.
I mean, his most recent one, he's had 3 characters in this campaign. 2 of them died. The most recent one, I mean, fortunately, he's like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna be a cleric. That way, I won't die anymore. But like having that kind of like moment where you can give the character like a send-off. Which we kind of did for Koron originally. I mean, we did end up like burying him in a ditch, and I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and then I looted the body.
He looted the body. We didn't even. I think we actually even buried him like in a shallow grave.
You did. You fucking did. You fucking did. Yeah. I had to go back as the son to rebury his ass. Like you got.
Because there was the story point where Joe goes to find the body and then gives him a proper burial. Yeah. Wow, D&D bringing us all together through death.
Brings us all together through death. Yeah, I mean it gives you that, and also then it can also be a very like rewarding experience for the player, because then they can now create something new. So I mean, occasionally like I get bored playing characters, so I will like write them out of the story to bring back later. Or I'll take I've worked with DMs in the past that I played with, and like, okay, well, we're getting to a point in the story where like my character has like other things to do, that we've kind of like built up. Let's send them off, go off to do their own thing, and then we'll bring in something like temporarily to kind of like bring it all together, because we're going on to like a new plot point kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, I mean, for me, you know, like I said before, I take player death pretty seriously, so I don't want it to just be like super dismissive and be like, nah, yeah, they're dead, like you said. But I think too that it can have a certain brevity to it, like that again, players' actions have certain consequences, or it can move the story forward, and I would want that person to be as involved with their death as possible. So like if I'm gonna tell them like, okay, this last hit is really gonna destroy you, like I would allow them to have like another action turn before that kind of thing happens, where they could do something a little bit more cinematic, like in the middle of combat, or try to, you know, do something heroic. Because there have been times where I've played with other people and they just feel like completely robbed of the moment, where the DM's just like, nope, you're dead, like that's it, you know. I would also say that I allow groups to use like wishes. I don't know if anybody does that.
There's a whole
I don't know
plot
if that's
point.
technically in.
Oh, like
Fifth
We were
like the
looking for a
wish
wish
spell?
for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
I'm not giving up hope.
It was in 3.5, and I honestly haven't looked to see if it was in 5th editions, but you could pray to the gods, and like if you rolled on a D100 and the DM said that your, you know, prayer came true, like that would usually be the first step. Would be like, okay, everybody pray, like just pray for this person to come back to life. And then if not, like there was a campaign where we took somebody to, oh my god, I was the DM. It was a player, it was a GM NPC, because I had only like 2 players at the time. They took him to like this magical hot spring, and there was a chart, I think at 3.5, where you could just pick a random creature for the person to turn into, and this person was a gnome, and when you're a gnome you have an identified like enemy that you swear that you hate. That gnome happened to be kobolds, and on the chart he turned into a kobold, so then he had this horrible existence afterwards, which was pretty depressing. That being said, sorry, I kind of went on a tangent.
Yeah, there is a number of resurrection things. I mean, yes, there's the wish spell that is often used in 5th edition. There's also because there's like scales of like resurrection in 5th edition. Like if you have like revivify, you can basically only be dead for like a minute, and if you were decapitated, it doesn't work, kind of thing. Whereas if you have like true resurrection, basically you just need like a vial of their blood, and then like the body like rebuilds itself. Whereas like reincarnate, it's kind of like you're ripping their soul out of something and like stuffing it into another creature. So it's like, yeah, like we could technically bring Koron back with a reincarnate and just like stuff him into like a horse.
No,
or something,
we're not okay. We're not doing that.
Which
We're
is
not
why
fucking
you want
doing
the player
that.
involved in their death.
That's right.
Yeah, so I think those are all good points.
Also, welcome on in, Eddie. Hope work's doing good. Also, we're talking shop about D&D. Got to roll for that new body. Oh my god, can you imagine just rolling randomly? I mean, I feel like Magnus would like fuck me over with that one. You reincarnate as a butterfly. Someone has slapped the butterfly. You're now dead.
You're now dead again.
It's a barbarian
You want to
butterfly.
try? You want to try this one again, God?
Listen, if he rages, it's half damage, okay?
Come on. Like, think about how jacked those wings are going to be.
A raging butterfly.
There's an extended reincarnation table with all the extra races and sub-races. Oh. My whole goal...
I think I used something like that in 3.5. But anyway, go ahead, sorry.
My whole goal for I think that's my character's going to be trying to do when we get back to that campaign, is like, yeah, he dead. And he's way past that, like, whatever X amount of days you got to keep the body fresh thing. But if I could do, there is mention of like the wish or the ultimate, like, you know, bring back power in this universe. It's just, the concept in our campaign, Oblique for context and for everyone to chat, is that holy magic and everything to do with holy has been outlawed, so no one's really practiced it in like forever. So like that's the main issue right now. But
yeah, so true resurrection wouldn't work. Wish technically is not holy magic, so you best be nice to Rainan, because Rainan can learn it.
So
again, you know,
No, go
I
on,
was
go
just
on.
gonna say your characters are aware of that, so that makes
Yeah.
a really interesting choice for them. Like, okay, do they choose to try to break the law or use this magic?
Hmm.
And Max,
Yes.
hopefully you
Always
can fall asleep soon if you need to sleep. But I appreciate you coming in if you're just chilling. Other than that, I think we can go with let's go with your best worst moments in D&D personally from either DM or character side. What you thought was the like some funny ass moments or like, oh my god, that went bad. I already kind of mentioned one of my worst. Not gonna lie, doesn't get any worse than that. But let's start with Raven first this time.
There was the time that Gregory hooked up with a chick and then forgot her name, and then I can't remember who it was, but somebody told me the wrong name, and then in turn I went up to her and then called her by her mom's name, and that was really awkward. It was a good time.
You're welcome.
So that was
Rain and shit disturber.
yeah. Raiden is a shit disturber. Raiden's got a lot of good moments though.
Yeah.
Like there was the door.
Fucking hate you
the
for that.
door.
I fucking hate you for that.
Yeah, the door is definitely
Well,
on,
one
like,
of them
my
will provide
phone.
context for that one, but
Yeah.
that was a good moment. I don't know. There's a lot of good moments. Like I think my most tragic moment is losing Gregory for the first time, and it was stupid because I fell off a bridge and then had to throw a charm to a specific character, but I fucked up on 2 rolls in a row and he died, and it looked boss as fuck in my mind as what happening. Like literally, it's a bridge. Gregory's falling off of it backwards, throws it up. The character catches it that needs to, and everything's cool. But Gregory's dead at this point. And I was super sad about it because I also didn't even get to go into the final fight, but that's okay. There was a whole statue built for Gregory. Anyways, who's next?
Let's hear from you, Joe.
Also, welcome on in, Busy. Welcome on in. Thank you. So some of the moments I remember is our first dungeon that we did as a group in that campaign, and there was a puzzle. now there was a stone cube on this door, and we could the door wouldn't move, and I remember we're all trying like what like it's got to do something, like this has to do something, this stone, and we're just like hitting it, and then I'm trying with like a strength roll to like nudge it, and then like I rolled, I made it, but it didn't do anything. So then our friend, was he a mage, sorcerer, I can't remember, the one that always like clean himself up, warlock. He decided, like, what if I do Eldritch Blast to cause him to have an adrenaline rush to push the stone even more? And then the DM looks at him, he's like, all right, roll for it. And he, thank God he rolled for it, because I don't know what would have happened if he didn't. He rolls for it, and he's like, yes, congratulations. And like, so what happened? Like, you have a broken piece of stone now. Oh, okay. Like, and I remember we had to give up our weapons to get into this dungeon or something like that. No, we had to put them down because we had to swim. So we had no weapons. So after that, I started carrying around the piece of stone as like a blunt object to hit things.
What? Wait, didn't you add it to the shield?
I did as a
Eventually.
memento. I got a blacksmith in one of the towns to add it to the shield as a centerpiece on the shield. But it did absolutely nothing. But it's like that kind of moment where you think it's gonna do something, and then it's just a stone wall, guys. You guys just have a stone wall. And obviously my worst is when my character died, but it is what it is. Also, welcome.
Can I change my favorite moment to the time that we fought the big eyeball thing and then we turned it into a chicken?
Was it a fish?
Yeah.
It was a fish.
Yeah.
That was a great.
Oh.
That was a great moment that Joe almost ruined.
Okay. Listen, I didn't know how that fuck. It was. What was that? The thing you're mentioning it earlier. Oblique the spell that changes things.
Polymorph.
Yeah, right. So
Polymorph.
I didn't know that when you polymorph something, if it loses HP, it turns back into whatever the fuck it was before that. Okay, I don't know. I thought, okay, fish, easy kill. I'll just stomp it to death. Like,
Yeah,
but I
no,
missed.
It was bad. We ran into a beholder?
It was a beholder, yeah.
Yeah, we ran into a beholder and it just started ripping us apart. Like it ripped the team fucking apart. And who was it? It was Chris, right?
It was Chris,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Chris took the
wizard.
long shot using polymorph, and it fucking worked. And then it eventually led to a bunch of antics where we eventually placed the fish that was the beholder into a corner of the fucking room, packed on as many fucking explosives as possible, and then literally bum rushed him for the win.
Yeah, we beat him to death. We also turned the fish so that he would face the other way when he turned back to normal.
Yeah, that was
good teamwork.
It was great teamwork. Yeah.
Listen, Max, my method is just pure aggression. That's it in this game. Oblique, what's your favorite moment?
I gotta step away for 5. I just got an important call to pick up.
Yeah.
Let's see. So I'm trying to think. Like, as a DM, probably my favorite like good moments are when characters really love the way that something worked out, or even just like what warms my heart is when they absolutely love a certain NPC. Like, we have a guard in a town named Greg. They visit him every single time. It's like, oh my god, it's Greg. But also when they're just, you know, working really well together. In terms of like biggest mess up that I've seen as a DM is my players approached a town where there was a lottery drawn for a sacrifice, and the sacrifice in town was going to be this small baby. And there was a lot of, you know, commotion in the crowd when the lottery was being drawn, being like, you know, you can't harm an innocent child, you know, they don't deserve that, etc., etc. But some people were afraid to, you know, speak their mind or say anything to the town's leader. So my players went to the town leader and they were like, hey, you know, certainly there's got to be somebody worse than a baby here that we could sacrifice. So they were like, well, we do have these prisoners. This one guy, he was oh my god, I'm totally blanking on the word, pyro, like somebody that just sets everything on fire all the time. You know, he killed a bunch of people in the past, so maybe you could try, but he's like really dangerous. You know, you look strong, you know, just sure, give it a whiz. You know, like the players worked really hard to convince the leader to let this fugitive go. So everything seems good. He's chained up, you know, they're letting him go, and he does manage to escape, sets a bunch of missiles about and different like firebolt spells and things like that, and the whole town burns down. So then the leader tells him, was it worth it? Was this one babe worth it?
Damn.
So kind of dark, but there we have it.
Consequences, guys. Consequences of your actions.
Consequences. It's always about the consequences.
And then Owen?
Yeah. So favorite moment as a player is definitely the door incident with Joe's character Koron. To give context,
for the record, I'm not a moronic barbarian. I actually am average intelligence. I'm just gonna put that out there before he explains the story. But go on.
So in one of the towns, Koron wanted to go buy potions one day, and there was this really like. He's like this cranky old man alchemist that was like an elf, and he started like banging on the door and it wasn't opening. So he did like a strength check, and I believe he rolled like a nat 20, and the player was just like, yeah, you just like bashed down the door essentially. And so we went to the local carpenters guild to be like, okay, well, you know, we feel bad, so we're gonna build a new door for this guy. And so they build the door. And Joe asked me, because my character's a bard, and his character's somewhat... can he write, Joe, or is he illiterate?
Oh, I'm illiterate, but I felt like I said that your character was better at speaking because you are a bard, right? So, like,
yeah,
you can write this for me.
Since my character is, like, better at, like linguistically and for handwriting, so he asked me to write, like a really nice apology note. And so I do that. I roll a nice apology note, and then as I'm passing it to the guild carpenter... to give to the door, I do a sleight of hand check to pass a note that just says, me sorry, me broke door, smiley face. And then it passed, nobody noticed, so I'm the only one that really knew this was going on. And then we go back to the alchemist, the door is all set up, and he like reads the note, and he's just like, and Koron was too scared to like actually go see, so he's like off on the side, and he's just like kind of like waving at the alchemist, and the alchemist just like kind of like chuckles and waves back. Easily one of my favorite moments as a player. As a DM, probably most recently when it was just after Joe's birthday, actually. Decided to kind of like bake it into the campaign because it was like a day later, and one of the characters is technically like Joe's character's like best friend, and like they want to throw like this huge big like birthday bash for him, and so he goes out, he spends like 300-400 gold on getting like tankards of booze and some ladies of the night. Previously, though, these guys had gone through like a nightmare scenario, like a literal nightmare scenario, and one of the he had described one of the girls to dress up this way, and also Joe's characters had a nasty run-in with a cockatrice. For those of you who don't know, a cockatrice can turn you to stone for 24 hours if you fail a check, and so that happened to Joe's character. Which was also kind of amusing.
Happy birthday!
so Felix, Joe's Coron's best friend, tells the girls like, okay, you should dress up like as this and this. And so after a night of drinking, Coron goes up into the brothel, and he sees the two girls, and his brain is just, it's not there. It's like one looks like a bird and one looks like this really hot super goth chick from his nightmare, and he just jumps out the window.
I said
not doing this.
That was a good role playing moment.
That was a great role playing moment.
Right, because like
are always the most fun.
Because I had to think about if I just had this like mind altering nightmare, and this is the person. Yeah, in the nightmare I thought she was cute, but then it just comes back to you. Plus I'm drunk, and then the cockatrice thing. I'm already mentally scarred from the cockatrice thing, and then I see two people dressed like that, and remember I'm drunk, so my mind's like, oh my god, it's the same thing. Out the window I go.
Definitely super fun role playing moment. One of the worst moments that I've had as a player is during like Curse of Strahd campaign, where we had to protect a certain NPC, and there was a big explosion, and my character kind of like dove in front of her to kind of like shield her from the blast. But because of the way how the blast and the energy works, she like vaporizes to dust in my arms. I'm like, oh no, this is gonna go bad. Yeah. I don't want to do too many spoilers for that. So.
That's fair. And Oblique, I don't know, did you mention as a character your favorite moments? I know you mentioned DM.
Oh man, it's been a while since I've been able to be a PC. I'm trying to think. I know that with my barbarian character there were a lot of great fight moments, and I'd have to think on that one for sure.
Right, no worries. So some other things that happen, like when it comes to boss encounters, like the main baddie, like, how early do you plan that out? Like if it's a custom made one, obviously, but like how early do you plan like the big boss of the campaign out? Dang, got an ad when Joe's like, no.
Start this.
What's that?
Do you want to go first on that?
Oh, sure. So I like to have that baddie kind of planned in the beginning, and then there are things that I may tweak depending on what the players encounter, but basically any of the direct bad stuff that's happening to the people in, the town or the nation or whatever they're dealing with, I want it to somehow be tied to this, big baddie, and have like some clues along the way. So you may meet, some of his henchmen that are trying to get things done, or, maybe you met some of the monsters that he set free, or, things that he created. So yeah, I like to plan that pretty much in the beginning.
Yeah, I'll take a fairly similar approach to like the big bad. I like to have them be like an active participant in the campaign. So like they'll be like a recurring influence. Like you may meet them at some point, but you don't realize what they are, or you don't realize or how they're influencing things. Or they might like present themselves as like, oh yeah, by the way, I need a job done. kind of thing. Like they could just be like a quest giver, but it turns out as it loops back around, it's like, oh well, oh shit, what did I just get in? Kind of get into having a villain that is an active participant in the story. I find is a very good way of helping to kind of like build that narrative.
Yeah,
When,
and I think
and also it lets you to relate to that villain as well.
right. And I think early on too, like when it comes to building any NPCs or any villains, I like to think of like, okay, what is this person's desire? Like what kind of motivations they have? What are their goals? What are their fears? And then also any interesting quirks that they have, like anything that agitates them or sets them off, something like that, so that when I'm role-playing that person, I can think about if they receive news that the heroes, thwarted this plan, okay, how are they going to respond? Or even in conversation, how are they going to respond to the players?
That's fair enough. Also, for the girls in chat, I'm not sure what I was explaining. Remind me, and I'll explain it again. I apologize. But
It was the fuck. Oh, no.
Okay, the fuck you say. Well,
it's slipped my mind now. Fuck. I can't remember. Well,
and I was
wanna
average
ask
max.
this while we try to remember, have you guys ever had a big bad guy thwarted a lot earlier than expected?
Did we do that?
I don't think we did.
No.
I mean, we let that.
With Blair's campaign, we kind of like skipped a whole bunch of it. It's like, yeah, well.
And you lit that house, that building on fire, trying to kill the things inside. I don't know if that counts.
Yeah.
I lit a lot of things on fire, though.
Yeah, that's
there
true.
was the spider trap and the arena quest.
The arena.
The building. The arena,
right? Oh, okay. Before we continue,
yes.
before we continue on that point, so Nick, basically the ladies of the night were dressed up as the creatures that my character had previously been either fought and had a horrible experience, or there was a nightmare involving like higher powers and stuff. So having seen them and being drunk, in his mind, he thought it was them, and he jumped out the window. That's it.
And Felix never got his gold back.
Yeah, that's the best part about that
I
story.
took like 400 gold off his character for it too. Got back. He's like, God damn it, Joe.
But Oblique, what about for you? Big baddie ruined early?
Yep, so to answer Raven Squaw's question, I don't think a big bad has ever been like destroyed early on. Maybe some important like henchmen or something like that. But what surprises me more often is like I'll be building an encounter and I'll be like, oh man, like this enemy is going to be really hard for them to beat, and they just absolutely destroy it. Whereas there's like a smaller enemy or monster and I'm like, oh, this should be like a relatively easy encounter, and then suddenly it becomes quite disastrous and I'm like, oh no. What is going on here?
That is the running gag of our campaign, actually, as I have all these encounters where I expect you guys to be like a cakewalk, and then I almost kill you guys, and then you come into like the boss fight and like you like finish it in like 2 rounds. I'm like, wow, that was great.
I know, and it's awesome too when you're like building this huge like narrative, like, oh, it looks at you with these piercing eyes and it's got this, horrible growl, and it lifts its weapon and swings, and then it's like, and you killed it.
Killed it.
And then one piece is like, stab him.
What's even worse is like when you do that, and then as the DM, you just roll shit. And it's like, oh, they like tripped on their own. They tripped on the blood on the floor. I was like, oh, okay.
Yep, that's happened. I think that happened to me like 3 times in a row. Like each session, like 3 sessions worth of just bad rolls, and then finally when I had good rolls, I think my players were kind of shocked because they were like, "Wow, this one was really hard," and I'm like, "It's just the rolls."
It's just the rolls, man. That's why for a lot of these guys, for monsters that they fought before, I will show the rolls. But if it's a new monster, I'll generally hide it until they actually kill it. Because then it's like kind of like going into like their bestiary. It's like, okay, they know kind of where this monster's coming from, kind of thing.
Smart.
Yeah.
I think in terms of creatures, if we're talking about like, it's all RNG. I mean, you're right, Max. It is all RNG. That's why Joe died that time. That's why Joe murdered things really quickly sometimes. Like, there's a bunch of skeletons I one-shotted. I mean, they're skeleton. So for context,
Skeleton minotaurs.
oh my god. So, okay, so let's go on that. Did you ever have characters either you played or that you've DM'd for? Because that Owen clearly has it for me, where they had a very useless skill that, like, you know, they thought it was gonna be good later, and then they never ended up using it at fucking all. So for me, my character knows how to speak Minotaur. Unfortunately,
Nice.
even the Minotaurs don't speak Minotaur because they use what? They use Common? What was it? Like,
Minotaurs as a player race speaks Minotaur, but Minotaurs as an NPC speak Abyssal. For some reason.
So it's just like, this is what the fuck. So like, what about and then he created a skeletal Minotaur in the dungeon we were at. I'm like, my character's like, I got this, guys, and I start speaking Minotaur. It doesn't do shit. Oh, what a use! And then he's like, you can re-roll it. I'm like, no, I think this is funnier this way. Like, we're having a useless language, a useless dead language that no one speaks anymore in this world. I'm like, it's fine. It's fine.
I think by you asking that question, I thought of my best, worst PC moment as well.
Ooh,
okay.
Lay it on us.
Yeah, so this was my first time playing D&D in college. I was a bard, and I happened to get bit by a werewolf, and so I had lycanthropy. And it was great because as a bard, I really sucked at the time. Like, I had, you know, a sword, but it felt like most of the time I just had like a nerf sword because I couldn't do any damage. I wasn't very helpful in fights other than like bardic inspiration. I just don't think I had like a grasp on the character. Maybe I rolled pretty crappy. I don't know. But anyway, when I became a lycanthrope, it felt amazing. I was strong. You know, I was able to knock some enemies down, and we went to this shop, and this guy was selling a bunch of nice instruments and weapons and things, and there was this really beautiful loot that I wanted, the instrument, and it was way beyond my price means, and you know, I was trying to haggle with the guy, and I was like, what if I told you I could give you a gift of super strength? Like, wouldn't that be amazing? And I'm trying to like tell him on the down low, like, I'm a lycanthrope, and I can fight you and make you more powerful. And he got so mad and kicked us out of the shop. He was just like, get out.
What?
I was hoping he was going to say yes.
They treated it like a disease, and I didn't. I was like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah. Lycanthropy is super powerful. Like, if the DM lets you get away with like playing it, like, it's super powerful until you become like a permanent like lycanthrope, and then you're kind of screwed.
Yep.
Owen, anything on your end other than Minotaur, I guess? Oh, Oblique, sorry, did you have more to add? I'm sorry, I apologize.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it was useful for me in combat, but useless elsewhere.
Oh, for skills that players have that are relatively useless.
Other than speaking Minotaur.
Other than Minotaur? Yeah, I mean, I play a ranger in one campaign just for thematic. Half of my ranger skills I don't use because they don't apply. Like, I mean, your favorite enemy, you have to tailor it. Like, fortunately, I'm doing it in the Curse of Strahd campaign, so I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna take favorite enemy as undead. I'm gonna take forest as my favorite terrain because, like, you're gonna be walking through that. A lot of the times, there's a lot of character classes and character feats that don't actually do anything unless it's like specifically designed for the campaign itself. In terms of like the most useless thing that I've ever seen happening, the player, he had like a rod, like an immovable rod, I think, and he stuck it in front of a door. But then they had to get into that door, like they blocked it with it. But then they had to get through that door. I'm like, you do realize that you now cannot move that rod from that door that you have to get through. And then the party just had to, like, two of the players died as their party ran away because they had to fight their way through the other side. Yeah. Yeah. There's some things that definitely there. So.
Is there anything that wasn't included in the original D&D? I don't know if there's a package that comes it for DMs, because I don't know from the DM side of things, but that you wish could be added or that you added yourself to add flavor to your campaigns.
The most common package, the most common things that you get. I mean, you get the generally basic rules, player's handbook, dungeon master's guide, and monster manual. Those are like the 4 core things that you'll use. Everything else is like modules, and that's more for like 5th edition because it's the most common one to use nowadays. Older editions, basically just like the dungeon master's guide, kind of have like everything into it. In terms of adding stuff, for custom campaigns, yeah, you're gonna homebrew a lot of stuff anyways. You'll like homebrew items, you'll homebrew characters, all that fun stuff. Like half the stuff I gave you guys, I made up on the fly, just to be like, okay, well, I need something that's going to help balance some of your pitfalls. Like you guys don't really have anything that's good at healing except for like Leah's character, and even then, that's like kind of. Like,
we don't believe
extremely
in
limited. So I gave her something that's going to help like augment that to make it a little bit more efficient for her.
We don't need healing.
We just kill faster.
Floor tank.
Hey! I have dead people talking to me on a regular basis. All right.
Probably because you're the floor tank. It makes sense thematically.
Yeah, I'm doing good, guys. I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Wait, I don't think we heard Raven's most useless.
Oh yeah,
skill,
what was?
did we?
No, we did not.
I don't. All my skills are all well used. No, not really. I have this tendency with characters to make them learn lots of languages for absolutely no other reason than to say that he could speak deep speech.
Basically, yeah. In the campaign that I'm running for these guys, I created a system to allow him to learn languages by reading books.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm currently learning Celestial. You know,
Yeah.
it's a good time. It's a good time. But honestly, yeah, I'd say the languages for the most part, because at the end of the day, like, whether I knew the language or not, it doesn't really matter. It just adds a bit of flavor to the campaign, so at least I understand a bit of what these motherfuckers are saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like Magnus in the campaign. What was it? Was it Abyssal or Infernal? I can't remember. It was one
Which?
It's one of the languages, but I was able to read some of the like writings on the wall. And
Oh,
stuff like
it was
that.
Infernal, yeah.
Infernal, yeah. But like past that, whether I knew it or not, wouldn't really add it too much to the game. So I guess it's useless.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, that helped you out. That Infernal helped you out a lot with identifying things and then getting charmed by that sword.
Oh my God! Yes.
I want that sword back.
Hey, Felix still has it technically.
Yeah, but I don't know yet. It's,
You don't know he has it.
Nick, I'll kill you.
Asriel's told him that he wants it back.
Sin's adding their hat in with regarding useless skills. My forge cleric is supposed to be a crafter blacksmith, but that takes weeks in games, so that skill ends up being somewhat useless unless there's a time skip.
A lot of the crafting skills are generally useless unless you go through like massive time skips, where your characters are doing nothing for weeks at a time, because it's like it takes you, like even just putting on armor takes you 10 minutes. Like if you to put on like full plate mail, it takes 10 minutes. To doff it, it takes 10 minutes. I'm like, I don't want to waste this much time.
I mean, my character in the first campaign, the son of Koron, he ended up taking up herbalism and potion making. So like that took weeks just to get some potions out of that, which, you know, that's fair. And then you have to pay the coin for the materials and all this stuff. So that was a thing. Also, Zayu, welcome on in. And Nick, honestly, please don't do that command, because then you cover everyone else who's speaking, if you don't mind. But the other thing I wanted to ask too is, because you guys have been in a bunch of campaigns, I probably am the most noobish on this team of speakers, but was there somebody else's character that really caught your eye and you were just like, wow, either like that was really well like acted, or that was really well designed, or, you know, he should not have really designed his character like that because now he's dead. You know, one of those things. Stop up top or start up top, sorry.
Who's on the top?
Who's on top, Joe?
Oh, that'd be Raven. Sorry.
Robin, Squay, I'm thinking. Pass me for now.
Okay. For me, I think the most interesting character, again, I only have a couple campaigns worth under my belt, is I thought Raven's character of Dag was like a secretly a like not a suicidal murderer, like a deep like what do you call it, undercover, like he was basically an undercover murder hobo, but hiding under this like sweet child that draws doodles on the side.
Yeah,
just because
for context, Dag is a young tabaxi who has a very short temper.
Because there's one moment one of our guys could speak in minds, and it's just he spoke into Dag's mind, and Dag did not like that. After the fight, we took him down an alley and just like knife to his face, like never go in my head again. I'm just like, and I'm like the caretaker for them because I'm the person from the guild technically, and I'm just like, oh, what the fuck is going on here? But I thought his character, like the way he's playing his character, is very interesting. It's a dichotomy between the two, like temperaments, right? Of quiet, innocent-looking Dag who draws to bloodthirsty, blood everywhere, let's kill things, Dag, and I'm just like, damn. Like I would never called it.
I like slitting the throats of my enemies and standing under it. You know, it makes me feel good about life. But that's how I make characters. I make characters as direct parallels of personality traits I have. So yeah, think about that for a second.
Let's not dig too deep into that one though.
Who's on first? What's that guy's name on first base? Okay, guys. Anyway, so are you still skipping Raven? Then we'll go down to Magnus and then Oblique then.
I guess the character I actually really enjoyed the most was Chris's character from the first campaign.
Oh,
what was his name again?
The high alt? Yeah. Oh my god, so... Oblique. We could not do so many things because of Chris and his he was lawful good, right?
He was a lawful good. What was he? Fuck.
He was a wizard. He was a wizard. High elf wizard.
He was a wizard who would always look at us sideways when we would, do something that wasn't really up to snuff or legal, air quotation.
In other words.
Oh my god.
But he played it so well, and there was a lot of really good moments throughout. Because he started halfway through the campaign as well. And he managed to kind of hit his stride at some point, and role-playing wise he was slaying it. Like he was just killing it. He had the accent and everything, which I think really helps in the role-playing aspect to kind of invest into the character. But yeah, I really enjoyed him a lot. He was fun. He was a square, but he was like the square you want on your team, yeah.
And remember the time we took him to the slums? We told him he had to make himself look more hobo-y, so he like put like dirt and feces on him and like yeah, you'll fit right in, and it's like had nothing to do with it. We just wanted to do it, and he did it.
Just wanted to do it, yeah.
Yeah. And then at one point, Raynon and I were trying to figure out what his sexual orientation was.
We're still trying to figure that one out.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure it out.
We will figure it out.
Oh my god.
We've
tried to ship him with like so many people.
He was more into books, let's say, than anybody else.
There was the girl, the woman that owned the mine that we tried to ship him with.
Oh yeah.
There was the
Astar was the other one. Astar was the other wizard. He had a nice house. He had a really nice house.
He had a nice house. I am wearing like half of his scarves just because I'm like, they're dope.
I don't know what you guys are talking about in chat. If you want to elaborate, because I don't know what this base thing we're talking about. Maybe I said something that
it is an old joke from like the 1920s. I think it's an old running bit.
Okay, you got me. I don't know. It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so let us go to Magnus and Oblique. Whoever wants to go first.
Sure, I will go. So, favorite character that I've seen, I kind of want to say the first time we met Jim, and we were all calling him Tim. for the sake of
Oh yeah.
it. I kind of wanted to like just the way that he played it off, because because we like exiled him from the group where we all did our own things, because he was only apparently supposed to be there for like a couple of sessions, and then he was brought in as like a full character, and he came back, and it was like, it's Tim. It's like, my name is Jim. So yeah, we finally got around to it. And just the kind of way that he played off like the ribbing, it was a lot of fun as well.
That was fun. That was a good time.
And Oblique?
So when I was a PC in a campaign, there was another player who was a paladin with an Oath of Conquest. So he was part of like the royalty in the area, so we thought it was very weird that he was with us. Like for a while we didn't really know where he was from, and it was always hard to tell whether he was like friend or foe, or if he was going to dip out at some point if things got too hairy, or if he was going to take advantage of the situation. So I think he was evil leaning, and it was just really interesting to see him play between like trying to appease us or make it feel like he was on our side, while also trying to potentially destroy his own royal family as well, because they were starting to get into things that he considered to be, his enemy or thing to fight. So, yeah, I think that was pretty interesting, because I think it's hard to play royalty in like a, I don't know, kind of classy sense, if that makes sense. Like to be able to pull that off.
The regal,
Yeah.
feeling of it all?
Yes, and being like withdrawn enough, like not, showing your emotions right on, your sleeve, and being calculating, especially as a PC. And he was able to really like whip conversations in a certain direction that I don't think the rest of us ever could. And like this person in real life is pretty book smart, like reads a lot, and yeah. Really smart guy. So
Fair enough.
not
enough.
so like
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, when it comes to like character direction, and like playing off a character, it does take like a certain skill set to really get into that. Like, yeah, you can play a character that you feel like within yourself. I mean, I used to do character acting as well. So I went to theater school. I went to did all kinds of stuff like character building. So I have an idea of like how to actually structure like the wants, the needs, the goals of the character in that, and to kind of like bring that out. But then at other times, it's like, I just want to have fun. I want to be the loudmouth guy that gets into fights, essentially, in like one campaign. But in the other campaign, it's like, no, I'm more of like the tactician. I'm going to sit back and kind of be that like fly on the wall kind of thing. So it's really about kind of like drawing out different personality aspects of yourself. Really, that's kind of like a good way of like that's why I really like D&D, and from like a exploration kind of thing, because you get to explore like your own psyche kind of thing through these characters and through these adventures, and kind of like live in your imagination.
That's what Raven was talking about too.
Yeah.
Zayu says most people who play royalty tend to play them like brats, and not gonna lie, that's exactly how I was thinking I would have played it off as. Like,
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah.
Right,
You have to
but
be
he
very snooty McSnootersome.
right,
Yeah.
but he wasn't. It was interesting though, because he wasn't exactly snooty, because he was trying to get like on our good side and show like,
Mhm.
what, like I'm in person too, which obviously he wasn't. But then also we were constantly like afraid that he was gonna bail out at any time, or like if he was the tactician, he'd use logic and be like, oh, we can sacrifice this person, the outcome's gonna be better in the long run, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. So it was super interesting.
Zayu, take care. Thank you for stopping on in. Hope you're planning for your the next session goes well. That reminded me when you mentioned so you're mentioning like the way they're playing the royalty character, and a thought occurred to me, like most RPGs when I play them, I try to go at it from the way I would if it was actually me in the game. But I find with D&D, I tend to go in like the most like, that's not what I would do. Let's play him up as a big like let's fight everything guy. Like my monk, I play him like, if you ever watch Dragon Ball Z Abridged, I play him like a very dumb Goku, who just likes to fight, but mostly because he's 18 by human years, which is like a child in elf years. So he's very naive, but he's good at fighting because Koron was a part of a mercenary group, so trained him how to fight. But like that's all he knows is fighting's fun. Let's go fight, and then everything's oblivious to him. He anything like romance and everything. Nah. It's like what's going on? But he likes to drink. Like that kind of the mentality I went with him, and then Koron was more like I've been a seasoned warrior kind of thing, march along. And I just thought about it, like, I'm curious why I never did that. Like, I just decided, let's go full out different than myself. Whereas most, like I said, video games, I would play like how I would do it. You guys, like, what made you choose the kind of characters you chose? We'll start. Yes, I should probably direct this better. Let's start with my co-host, and then we'll go down to Oblique this time, and then Magnus.
All right.
Cool. So like I mentioned before, I make characters based around like a specific personality characteristic I have. So for example, Greg is kind of the suave piece of shit who knows how to talk to everyone. I'm not saying I'm suave by any means, but I can talk to anyone.
But you are. But you are. No, I'm not.
What?
Nothing. Hey, you didn't deny something else in that sentence. I'm just saying.
Stop. Pause. Anyways, yeah. So I that's how I play Greg. He's kind of the guy who is able to talk to anyone. He's a little kind of rough around the edges, but that's just kind of how he is as a person. But he's a lovable dude once you get to know him. Dag, on the other hand, is I wouldn't say I have a short temper, but I do get angry a lot. It doesn't outwardly come out very often, but that's Dag. Dag is the ticking time bomb. He's the kid who's always fucking quiet, doesn't say anything, blah blah blah, until something pisses him off, and then he just pops off. And then that's exactly what happened with our friend who tried to talk to me in my mind. So for me, when I build characters, like I said, I just kind of build them around a specific personality trait I have, and then just kind of run with it. For example, if Gregory ever died, he would have got replaced by, surprisingly, not a rogue, but a cleric, who actually ended up training Dag training Gregory from a very young age. But I'll save that one for next time we have a D&D talk, and I can bring him out to a campaign.
Cool. Oblique?
So for me, it's kind of a similar process as Ravensquaw said. I need to have a little piece of me in there in order to stay interested. And also, if I have somebody who's totally not like myself in some, small aspect, it might be frustrating to play them after a while. Like, I have a hard time with, like, lawful neutral kind of characters. It's hard for me to find a motivation for them. I like things that are a little bit more extreme, usually more like chaotic good or something like that.
Chaos!
Of course, gotta have some chaos. But yeah, just exploring different, aspects of my personality, or I don't know, like Aksinia, I kind of wish that I could be more like her in real life. Like sometimes, like think to myself, like, okay, what would Aksinia do? Because like that part is me. Like I could do that. Not like go fight this terrible monster, but navigating a conversation or something like that. And if you don't mind, Joe, if I could take a moment to turn over to chat, because I think what they're talking about is really important between Papazoddle and Mime, exploring some gender identity within D&D. I think that's an awesome part of it as well. Like, this is a fantasy world. You can be pretty much like whatever you want to be, and the social constructs we have here are not going to be the same there, So I think that is also a fantastic avenue to try to see, like, okay, if I had a character that was leaning more like in this personality, or was a completely different gender than I am, like, how is that for me? So I like that chat mentioned that.
Yes. And for those who may not be able to see chat, just reading it up. All my D&D characters are ladies, despite me being masculine in real life. Being a real nice outlet for expressing and processing my low-key internal gender weirdness is Papazoddle. And then Mime mentioned, helped me discover my gender identity as one of my characters developed an NB, and then I realized my current character, Miri, is what I aspire to be now. There you go. Magnus, sorry. Your turn. When it comes to character creations.
Yeah, when it comes to character creations, it really depends on what I'm kind of feeling. So like, a lot of times I will try to set a character to the situation. or I'll take a look like if I haven't played a character type before. Like for example, I had never played a bard before I played Brandon. So the first time I built him, I'm like, oh well, this is like. Until I got to like level 3, I'm like, this is fucking useless. And then after there's you kind of take out from there. But from like a character perspective of like the character's personality, it's very much trying to build up like that expression of oneself. Everything you ever create, you're always going to put something of yourself into it. How much you kind of put into it is kind of indeterminate. This is where it becomes trickier if you want to play like an evil character, for example. I mean, because most people look at like evil characters like, oh yeah, I'm just going to go around kill everybody. I'm like, yeah, but that's not like. I mean, that's one way of being evil, of being like sadistically evil. But maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I want to mold the world to my ideals and do it in like kind of like an underhanded kind of way. Like there's different degrees of everything. This is where your chaotic versus your lawful characters can come into kind of play on like how specific do you follow like the idea behind it. Because when I was like, oh, I'm lawful, therefore I follow the law, I'm like, no, that's not true. I follow a code kind of thing. Like, I'm going to do something, this is how I'm going to do it. That's more what a lawful character would do. Whereas a character is like, I want to get to point A, but I'm going to go through point C and D first, kind of thing. Like, you kind of jump around.
And to add to that too, like, I don't think anybody who's quote evil really thinks that they're evil, right? Like, they probably think that in some way they're still doing good, they're still doing like the right thing, whether that's a personal goal or what.
That's the thing. Every villain is the hero of their own story.
Right.
Like, you know, Ray from Rainbow Corp, he just wants a sunny vacation, so he's gonna use that weather dominator and change things.
That's fucked up.
Ray, if you're seeing this, I love you, man. Like, and then I had a thought and I just lost it because I started thinking about the Ray angle there. Back me up here. You mentioned evil. Okay, good. Yes, remembered now. So I've always evil. Xerxes in XU Calamity is a good character example of how a lawful character can be exploited. They thought they were doing the right thing, but not understanding what that meant. Because like I always had not that I'm very well versed on the different types, but I don't know if you guys can break down exactly or give an example of like I guess the main headings would be like lawful.
Go down the list.
Yeah, okay, sure. Let's go with that. Do you have the list ready, or does someone have a list of it, or off the top of the head?
Right, lawful good.
Okay.
Who is our lawful good character?
Example. Give an example. Perfect example. Yeah, give an example. Like you have a fictional character that you think would fit it.
Good lawful good character.
Yeah.
N from Pokemon says Angry Octopus.
Is he lawful good?
Ash would be more lawful good.
Superman lawful good. That's true.
Yeah,
Superman. Okay. Go. Okay, then what's the middle one? Yeah,
neutral good.
It's neutral good.
Yeah. So I feel like Ash Ketchum is a neutral good. Like he's pretty mediocre at best.
It's pretty mediocre. He's always on the good side of things.
Yeah, he's always on the good side. I wouldn't exactly say he's lawful because that doesn't at one point he steal Misty's bike.
Oh, true.
No, I would put Ash more as chaotic good because he cheats. He cheats all the time.
What do you mean? It's the power of friendship that helps him win, not cheating.
Pikachu cannot beat Onix without that sprinkler system.
Yeah, but I like Papazottle's example of Goku as chaotic good.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. Oh my god. Yeah. Okay.
Who's our neutral? Who's her neutral? If it's not Ash Ketchum.
So how would you define neutral good? I guess is the example. Then we can pick an example.
Well, the neutral side of the spectrum is like the purest essence, where they only do like a neutral good only like does good deeds effectively, and that's what they do. Whereas like a lawful good, they can effectively be like a paladin's like, yeah, I want to do good deeds, but I have this rule book that I have to follow. Whereas
Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins is a good neutral good kind of character.
Okay. So Superman, Mary Poppins, and Goku. Goku, that's a great example. I'm just gonna say because he's a good guy, but he doesn't necessarily do things because he's good. He's just like, oh, let's fight. Do you know what you're doing?
Yeah.
Like, you know what you're doing by doing this?
Yeah.
Okay. So then the next would be, is it chaotic? Chaotic. Good.
Yeah. So it would be chaotic good, which we already came up with.
Yeah,
Goku.
chaotic good we already came up with was Goku. So then it would be
Sorry.
lawful neutral.
Yeah.
No, wait. So what's the listing? I'm so dumb. I'm like.
Yeah. So it goes. So across the top, you've got lawful, neutral, chaotic, and then you've got good, neutral, and then evil.
Okay. So then, are we on evil now? Then?
Yeah. So we'd be like neutral good.
Lawful neutral.
Lawful neutral.
Lawful neutral.
The
So
middle one, and then chaotic neutral.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, what is how can you be a lawful neutral? Is my question, because wouldn't by being lawful you're taking a stance, isn't neutral like you're trying to be in the middle of things?
Well, no, like being lawful is you follow like a strict set of rules.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Okay.
Like you do things for a specific reason. So if I'm lawful neutral, actually John Wick would be a good lawful neutral character because he floats both sides and he follows his own kind of rules.
So direct definition: a lawful neutral character acts as law, tradition, or a personal code directs them.
Yeah.
Order and organization are paramount to them. They may believe in personal order and live by a code or standard, or they may believe in order for all or favor a strong, organized government.
Okay. Yeah, people are mentioning that in chat. Lawful neutral's traditions. It's pragmatically logical. If laws are evil, you still follow them. Laws are laws. They will be followed. Samara from Mass Effect follows a strict code, but that's a good one. That is a fantastic.
That's a good example.
Good
That's
one,
a
yeah.
really good example.
Both good or bad things to reach their goal. Okay.
All right, who is our true neutral example?
True neutral is like the hardest one because it embodies like the entire essence of like the D&D alignment chart. So I have no idea to answer your question.
A true neutral character can just kind of be like unopinionated or very like in the moment, like what they're feeling in the moment. Maybe you could spur them to some kind of interest. So I'm trying to think.
I agree. The neutral people from Futurama. Tell my wife hello. Yes.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, does that count? I don't want to be that guy. Nobody gets it, but angry. Thank you for saying it first. Oh my god.
Angry and Goblin both went. That's funny.
Let's see.
Who would be a true neutral? That's tough.
That is tough. Yeah.
I couldn't. If anyone else has an example, please.
Of the internet.
Sure. Let's go with that. Yeah.
What's the internet say?
So internet says Lara Croft, Juliet from Romeo and Juliet.
Apparently Rorschach might be one.
I don't know about that. Rorschach as a true neutral?
Or I'm looking at Destiny, maybe that'll the cool uncles who cause trouble. That doesn't make any sense. Never mind.
Cool uncles who
cause trouble. It's like defining someone by the way they aren't everything else. Mal Reynolds from Firefly. Ooh, these are some fire examples.
The list I have has Emperor Cusco.
I can see that. Okay. Well, we'll go with those. The world will look up and shout, "Save us!" I will whisper, "No." Apparently, people are saying Rorschach is. I don't know how that works, but Captain America would have been lawful good.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, Captain America is definitely lawful good.
Or my favorite of apparently I thought lawful neutral is Judge Dredd. Apparently.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
The poison for Cusco. Oh, the neutral that is Cusco, neutral Cusco. Okay, well, if we're gonna go with that, then chaotic neutral. There's a bunch examples, and there's a really good one that I'm gonna say afterwards. But I'll let everyone else say something first if you have a good idea.
Static Shock.
That's a classic.
Mhm.
Actually, Krunk would be true neutral.
Oh, Kronk would be a true neutral.
True neutral.
Oh shit! That's a
Pull
good
the lever, Krunk. Okay. Was my best impression. But for chaotic neutral, Deadpool.
Yeah. I'd say that.
I think so. Yeah.
Maybe Han Solo. I'd go with that too.
The rock guy from Thor.
Is he chaotic
Rock
neutral?
dude.
Krunk? No, I don't remember. I don't remember his name. Uncle. Oh, what did he tell the children to call him? Uncle. It doesn't matter. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Like he's pretty like right in the middle kind of deal.
Yeah.
But like he's a little chaotic because there's that one point where he tries to start the rebellion against the what's his name, the Master, whatever his name from Ragnarok.
Two-Face
Revolution, yeah.
would be a good chaotic neutral, because he flips both sides.
Yeah.
With the
But
Hulk,
doesn't he lean toward more evil?
But he wants to be the district attorney again. I don't know.
Cork.
He wants
Cork.
to be-
That was it. Cork. Thank you. It's
Korg,
K.
there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Apparently, also going back one. Apparently, the Hulk might be a true neutral. Technically,
I could see that.
What?
I could see that.
like I'm guessing the non-intelligent Hulk, just the Hulk, like Hulk smash. Like, because Hulk just wants to be left alone, right? He doesn't really.
Yeah.
He does his own thing.
Yeah, but he also fucking demolished the whole entire fucking city.
Because they wouldn't leave him alone.
And then he took over a planet.
Wait, did he?
He blew up a planet.
Okay. Anyways,
Didn't he kill Satan?
Yeah. And then like he got so bad that they just threw him onto a fucking ship and just sent him away.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they
Well,
did it like 2 more times.
Okay. The last row here. Let's go with evil. Lawful evil.
The dude from The Watchmen, the main villain.
Adrian. No. What the hell's his name now? With the cat. Oh my god. Why am I Osmodeus? Osmodeus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like he would be a lawful evil.
Osmandius. Osmandius. That's it.
Ozymandias.
I was gonna say Doctor Doom.
Ooh.
Right, because he's in charge of Latveria, and his rule is supreme, and he believes he is, what he's doing is right, kind of thing. I don't. Anyone else agree, or you have a better example? Doctor Doom is 100% lawful evil. Okay, I called it.
What about Lex Luthor?
Lex Luthor kind of gets there too. Yeah, he's got that idea
Yeah,
as well.
so I'm good with that. Doctor Doom, Lex Luthor. I'd put him in neutral evil. I was gonna say Loki for neutral evil.
Well, the neutral portion is the most pure essence. So that's where like your true evil character comes from, because you're true evil at that point. So like true evil character, you would look at like Palpatine, for example. Like there's no redeeming quality of that guy at all. Or like Scar from Lion King, like he's true evil.
Okay, or Jeremy Irons from Dungeons and Dragons character, whatever his name was. You guys remember that movie? Am I the only one who watched that with Marlon Wayans? And really bad movie. But like Jeremy Irons hammed it up so good, so good. Moriarty from Sherlock.
Yeah, Moriarty.
Sherlock. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
And Norman Osborn, maybe, because there was different versions of Norman, so I put that with an asterisk. And Doom cares about his people and will do evil on their behalf to create an ordered world. Luthor wants power and wealth for his own purposes.
I think that's also based on the iteration of the Luther you're talking about, right?
True. Legacy Extended Universe Palpatine would be lawful evil. Does, and okay, let's go with the last one. Let's probably wrap up, and then we'll do some closing remarks. But chaotic evil, ideas for chaotic evil. So what is chaotic evil? And then we'll go with the examples.
I would say chaotic evil. Actually, I'd probably put Joker more towards like the true evil, rather than chaotic evil. For chaotic evil, I'd go more like Skeletor.
Like Hammy evil?
Yeah.
Ah!
Kind of thing. So, yeah.
No, Venom wouldn't even be like evil anymore, right? No, he's changed.
Yeah, no, technically now he's good. Yeah, he's a good guy.
The Nolan versus Joker.
Most an anti-hero.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think I'm good with that, unless anyone else has a different example.
I'm good
with that. But so I always thought, like, in terms of our characters, like, I never knew where I really fell, because sometimes I try to play it in the specific alignment, but then, you're like, we beat up that guy, or, we beat up that guy in the alley, or rather, Raven's character stabbed him in the leg trying to get information, while everyone else just stood by, and I just kind of, like, watched the alley for him as he was... like softening him up. This is what.
Raven's character on things. Okay, we can't just keep blaming him for everything that went wrong.
I just remember.
This entirely goes back to what I originally started with when I expected these guys to murder Hobo like crazy. So I gave them a bag of devouring to feed the bodies to, just to clean up the scene.
Hey! I don't murder Hobo. I stab with intent. Everyone else murder hobos.
So can I say something that I love about 5th edition in this respect?
Sure.
So with 3.5, you had your alignment, and then you had your like handwritten background, but 5th edition I think does a really good job in the player's handbook of creating more of a background for you. So like every class has a chart for like a personality trait, an ideal that you may have, a bond, like something that's really important to you, like I owe my life to the priest who took me in when my parents died, that kind of thing, and then a flaw. So if you're having a hard time with the alignment, I'd say like don't think about it too much, just think more in terms of like your personality and your character's true ideals.
Yeah. And that's the flaws are very important because human beings and mystical creatures, we all have flaws, and playing those off and really letting them set in and kind of live in that moment with those flaws is a very powerful role-playing tool.
Yeah, either overcoming those flaws or even developing new ones. Like I think with my Oxinia character, there was a time where she was set back because, like I said, she was so confident and like sure that everything was going to work and she was doing the right thing. And then there was a moment that happened where one of the characters was almost at risk, like almost died. And it really put her back where she's like, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe I need to think about this more carefully. Maybe I'm not as capable as I thought I was. So it kind of developed like a new flaw or issue for her.
And for mine, bond, flaw, and ideal. Once Miri makes an oath, she will do her best to never break it. If it comes down to friends and her oath, chances are her oath would win. That's a solid wow. For my character, I guess it was his flaw. The son of Koran, because his style is drunken master monk. I just remember that now because he drinks a lot, like an obscene amount. He has a flask on him and everything. It's a flask of like, it heals him when he drinks once a day kind of thing, but still, like, that's his main flaw. Like, he drinks a lot. Like, it's like that movie Jackie Chan, Drunken Master, to fight better he drinks kind of thing. Not that he he's always perpetually drunk. Rory's flaw was escapism. Felicity's was narcissism. Ashford's is cripplingly loneliness. There you go. I'll wait till Raven comes back and then we'll do final closing. But do you have any last minute thoughts on, I guess, D&D as a whole? Personally, guys, like, I am glad I took a chance and tried it out. It was like 1 year I was just like, I'm going to try this out finally. And then I mentioned it to a friend. He's like, hey, we're starting a campaign if you want to be in. And honestly, I've never looked back and it's been a lot of fun. 100%. How about you guys? When it comes to D&D in general, that general remarks about it?
It's a great team building exercise, really. you really get to learn a lot about the people that you play with, whether you're a player character or whether you're the DM. You get to learn a lot about the individuals that you work with, that you play the games with, and you get to learn what they like and dislike as well. It's a great sort of safe space setting to explore things without really needing to temper yourself. Really, like it gives you that opportunity to kind of like play within your own minds.
I would say don't be afraid to try it. Like, I know when I first saw it before I even started D&D, I was kind of intimidated by it. Like, oh, how am I going to memorize all this stuff? You know, it seems like way too complicated. It's really not once you get the swing of things. And I think most players are so happy to be playing with other people that they're going to be really friendly and helpful when it comes to, you know, certain things that you may have questions on. So don't feel like you have to memorize everything. You know, a lot of it is improv or, you know, flying by the seat of your pants anyway. So just enjoy it. I think it's a great hobby to carry with you for a long time.
Yeah, and following up on Oblique's message there, like if you're ever in the game and you don't know if you can do something, try it out. Like, you never know. Like, the DM will either somehow like see if it's feasible, or they'll weave it in where, like, you know, your character tried but it didn't work or whatever.
The best way to always respond to something like that is you can try. Never say, like, especially as a DM, if someone asks you to do something, it's like, well, can I do it? I'm like, let's find out. and then we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, like a yes and rule for, you know, some other tabletop role-playing games have like partial success, so it's kind of like what we were talking about with like the jump, right? Like maybe you don't make the jump but you catch the ledge, and, you know, things like that.
And he's back right on time to give his last little piece of nugget knowledge, advice on D&D.
Did you know that lobsters mate for no, I don't know. What?
Just your like final thoughts on D&D, and like any advice to people who want to try and get in D&D, what to think about when going.
I don't know. I don't really have much. Like, I've played a few campaigns, but it's not like I have a lot of experience under my belt. But it's fun. Find a good group of people that you want to play with. Put a little bit of yourself in each of your characters and have a fun time. Don't be afraid to act like a fool. You know, take a few risks every once in a while, and maybe, just maybe, RNGesus will give you that nat 20.
You too can turn a beholder into a fish. So take away
from now to find out how we did that.
I never want my players to feel like they couldn't do anything. Exactly. So, other than that, guys, I do thank our guests for coming on today. Obviously, Mr. Raven Squaw for coming out, dusting off the cam to get on here.
Don't worry, I'll be back one day.
Speaking of which, when can anyone check anyone else out if you stream or if you have some other thing you are involved in? Raven, do you have any specifics, or it's still like whatever right now?
I'll be on tomorrow. So.
Well, there you go. Special announcement. He's coming back tomorrow. Look out on the Discords. Oblique, when can everyone catch you next?
Sure. So usually I stream on Tuesdays and sometime during the weekend. The weekends have been really bad lately, but it should be this Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. EST.
You go. Magnus, are you on anything? I know you used to, but currently?
I used to. I'm thinking about coming back at some point, but most times you'll likely find me next time that you do your Age of Empires. And
yes.
Expect him to conquer everything.
Expect him back for that one, guys. That is definitely still in the books, as well as Mario Kart. If anyone has the Mario Kart in the new pass, even if you don't, we might do a Mario Kart day. So keep that in mind. As for myself, it'll probably be Wednesday. We'll be back on some Gunpla. We're gonna try and finish Heikei's custom Gunpla there. So 6-ish, depending on work, as usual. Otherwise, thank you guys for coming on in. We're gonna see if we can raid into somebody. Raven, Oblique, you have any suggestions? I know we're not in our normal category, so I'm open to ideas as well. But I hope everyone's had fun. And again, try D&D for sure. When we go into the raid, of course, anytime. I appreciate your perspectives as well, as characters, as DMs, And it's a hobby that we've all had like near to our hearts for the last few years. So it's really cool to see. But as I was saying, when we find someone to raid, if you guys want to stick around for the raid, I'd appreciate it. And then if you like whoever we're in, obviously drop them that follow. And if not, I just appreciate you guys coming through on that raid. But I will also take a look. Angry, appreciate you. Max, appreciate you. Thanks, Max. We cannot raid myself. Okay.
Yeah, raid yourself. Do it.
Oh my god. Because I know there's a bunch of people building Gunpla. We could definitely drop into a Gunpla stream if you guys are cool with that. That's about the only person I could really suggest on my end.
I got no one of note on my end.
Bleak, nobody as
Oh yeah, next Squaaakinatjoemama podcast will be on my channel.
Yes. Topic to be decided.
TBD,
TBD. Okay, I guess if we can set up, let's see here. We're gonna drop into Jose. He's building the kit bash I sent him, so why not? Can you set that up, Mr. Ravensquire?
Sure.
Okay, and while he sets that up,
username.
wow. We do have 2 commands, guys, as usual. We have the raid command here, if you're not subbed, and we have the sub raid command here. I think it's that one. Also, just realize you're in Makers and Crafting. You've just been chatting. That's fine. It's fine. It's whatever at this point.
We're making adventure.
Yes.
Right, we are crafting adventure.
We're crafting stories.
Yeah.
And making our
Crafting
way into your
friendship.
hearts. Yes, I don't know. That's all I got, guys.
We gotta think of like an ending theme and a starting theme. You know, ba 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 da, Squaaakinatjoemama.
Wow, that was McDonald's. McDonald's would sue us, but okay.
No, I changed the note slightly. All right, instead of a C, it was a D.
Hmm.
I'm sure that will be enough to get away with anything. So
Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
Anyways, guys,
We
we were about to go, and we'll catch you on the next one. Ba 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 ba.
Squaaakinatjoemama.
Hit the button. Hit the button. Hit the button.
hit the button. Oh,